In the year 1700, the typical wage of a British worker was about $1 per day in today's dollars. That amounted to less than $400 per year. This wage barely budged from ancient times. Today, the median income for individuals in both Britain and the United States is over $30,000 a year, more than 75 times greater than 3 centuries ago. Median household income in the United States is above $70,000 a year. Economists call this the hockey stick graph, because while incomes were stagnant for thousands of years, sometime around 1800, they shot straight up. Money isn't everything, though. Slavery had been an institution for more than 5,000 years, but less than a century after the first major Enlightenment project was launched, America, slavery was abolished, at least in the West. It still exists in other parts of the world. The majority group, or the one with all or most of the power, has always oppressed the groups with less power. However, less than 2 centuries after the formation of America, we enacted the civil rights legislation that outlawed discrimination against minorities. The institution of patriarchy, in which women were treated as little more than property, extends back as far as recorded history. However, less than 150 years after the Great Experiment began, we passed women's suffrage, guaranteeing women the right to vote, and later outlawed gender discrimination. All this without discussing the incredible rise in technology that began around 1800 with the Industrial Revolution. First trains, then cars, then airplanes connected us like never before. As anthropologist David Harvey says, we've shrunk time and space. We also developed numerous labor-saving devices like washing machines and stoves that cut down on our labor and gave us an abundance of free time. From exploring the depths of the ocean to putting a man on the moon, there's a feeling that we have no limits. Anti-Enlightenment thinkers first rose in Germany with people like Hegel and Marx. They built off the ideas of Rousseau, who said that civilization created inequality, which separated us from our true selves, which we experience in the state of nature. A showdown happened between liberal democracies in the Western world and communist nations in places like Mao's China, Castro's Cuba, and Stalin's Soviet Union. The victory for the West was decisive, ushering in prosperity on one side and grinding poverty on the other. Beginning in the 1950s and into the 1960s, socialist messaging began to switch from a focus on poverty to a focus on inequality. It became obvious to all who were paying attention that capitalism was vastly superior at meeting people's needs and lifting them out of poverty. So the focus became on highlighting the gap between rich and poor. This new poverty of relativism was popularized by Michael Harrington, who founded the Democratic Socialists of America. Issues of race, gender, and the environment became new issues on the left. When the narrative of equality between individuals collapsed, it switched to focus on inequality between groups, such as between men and women, between black people and white people. Between 1990 and 2016, the number of people in the world living in extreme poverty was cut by more than half. Poor countries have seen their life expectancy increase by 9 years in that time span. Pollution was historically worse in communist societies than in capitalist ones. By every conceivable metric, capitalism delivers the goods better than communism in ways that make people happier, healthier, freer, and more prosperous.